Support for WCBU's On Deck comes from State Farm agent Aaron Kilgore. Aaron and his team offer individualized insurance coverage plans to community members at their Sterling Plaza location. Information on home, life, and auto insurance at aaronismyagent.com. This is WCBU.
Young artists in Peoria are putting their own spin on a Broadway musical. That's just one of the things you'll want to hear about to start your day for Friday, April 12th. I'm Colin Shope, and this is WCBU's On Deck. First on deck today, OSF St. Francis Medical Center is partnering with University of Illinois College of Medicine at Peoria to train the next wave of anesthesiologists. A new 4-year residency program will take on 8 residents a year for 4 years starting this July. Dr. Robert Sparrow is OSF's Chief Medical and Academic Officer.
The demand for anesthesiologists is extreme. Everybody is looking for anesthesiologists, and as a result of that, there is a national shortage of it that really requires educating more people.
Sparrow says last year, almost half of the students looking for a residency program nationally couldn't find one. These programs are costly to operate. In Illinois, this will be the only program of its kind outside of Chicago.
You really have to have an institution that's willing to invest in the infrastructure and the faculty that you need. And as a result of that, a lot of institutions aren't just willing to do that and to make that commitment.
In total, Sparrow estimates OSF's new program costs around $5 million. Here are some other stories we're following in the WCBU newsroom. Pekin High School Athletic Director Cole Stoner is back at work following an arrest for child endangerment last month. And a new museum in El Paso had hoped to be open by now, but Project 15 is making steady progress converting a 19th century barber shop into a series of exhibits on voting rights. Plus, a 26-foot-tall Komatsu mining truck assembled in Peoria has been deemed this year's coolest thing made in Illinois. Find more of these stories and all the details at WCBU.org. Some children at Artists Re-Envisioning Tomorrow in Peoria, also known as Art Inc., are in the process of putting their spin on a Tony-nominated Broadway musical. On this week's episode of Out and About, Dr. May Gilliland Wright of Arts Partners of Central Illinois talks with Nikki Romaine, executive director and co-founder of Art Inc., about their upcoming production of Once on This Island Jr. The production takes place May 3rd through the 5th at the Romaine Arts and Culture Center. For tickets and more information, visit artincpeoria.org.
Basically, it's a Caribbean-flavored musical that's set on an island where I actually liken it to more like West Side Story, to be honest. So it is a poor peasant girl that falls in love with a grand homme, who is a rich guy that lives on the other side of the island. And then the gods in the play help her on her journey and help her decide her fate between love and death.
So you've talked to us a little bit about the plot. Tell me about some of these characters, some of your favorite ones.
Absolutely. Well, I really love this play. It was one of the first musicals I did outside of college. And I played the role of Andrea, who is the love interest to the rich guy, right? Mm-hmm. But my favorite characters are the gods. So there's 4 gods. There's the god of earth, god of water, god of love, and then Papa Gay, who is the sly demon of death. And these gods, basically, this peasant girl, she's living this life and she's dreaming of a bigger life. She thinks that she's going to meet someone. And the gods laugh at her like, this peasant girl thinks that she's going to find somebody to carry her away or whatever. And they just all have these really amazing personalities, and they lead the story in addition to the storytellers. And then one of the favorite characters in the cast right now is this little T Moon. She is like a little thespian thespian. Like I see myself in her. A lot of our kids at Art Inc. are new to theater. This is new for us. And we did a play for Christmas called The Grinch. And one of the teens weren't really doing a whole lot with that, but this is heavy for the older kids. So she comes in and she auditions, and she's up there with one of my like really musical theater junkies. And then she gets on her phone. She's like, I'll be right back. And she never came back. But she's one of our kids.
Yeah.
So anyway, she came back the next day. She was like, Miss Nikki, I was just so scared. I didn't know. And I'm like, it's okay. And she got up there and she rocked it. And she's playing Papa Gay. And so it's just, I love to see people step outside of their comfort zone and just pushing them outside of their limits and then watching them grow. Like, it's just amazing to see that. So I see that in her and some of the other kids that we're working with. And I get a joy out of directing because of that.
And let's talk a little bit about the music. You've noted that it is a musical, and it's even Tony nominated as well.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. So this play is an old play, but it actually was revised recently. It's got the island, music, island dancing. Actually, our choreographer is Tanya Jenkins, so she is definitely going to bring some flavor into that. Our musical director is Jamaica Russell. And so they bring their own flavor to this as well. But this musical will have you on your feet. It'll have you dance. It'll have you laughing. It will have you crying, too. There's a lot of ups and downs and roller coasters in this. It's not your typical like Disney musical, right? It has some pretty heartbreaking things that happen in it.
You noted it hits on themes that are relevant to all of us, children and adults alike, tackling the powerful forces of prejudice, hatred, and, as you said earlier, even death.
Yeah, so there's class, obviously, the peasants, and the whole play is surrounding terrible storms that are happening throughout the island and how that affects the villagers versus the grandomes on the other side of the island. And then there is love. So I'm not going to give the whole thing away, but there is the main character, Timoon. She has to make a choice between love and, I don't know, you just have to go see it.
You've been listening to highlights of Out and About, a weekly production of Arts Partners of Central Illinois and WCBU. To listen to the full conversation, subscribe to the podcast or visit WCBU.org.
Support for arts and culture coverage on WCBU comes from PNC Financial Services. PNC is committed to supporting local art and culture events in the communities they serve.
Now, before we let you go, Bradley Symphony Orchestra's spring concert is this weekend. The ensemble's final concert of the year is Saturday at 7:30 p.m. at the Dingledine Music Center on Bradley campus. The program features the work of Leonard Bernstein and an oboe concerto. Tickets are $10 at the door. And that's all for today. You can subscribe to WCBU's On Deck podcast on the NPR app, Apple, or Spotify.